In this week's episode of Gundam Unicorn, the mystery of Laplace's box comes to the forefront, which holds the key to the very origins of the Universal Century. This week's episode of Gundam Unicorn reminded me that the actual OVAs had a lot of material going for each episode. We're already 2 episodes into this anime adaptation, and they still haven't covered everything that's been seen in Volume 1. That being said, again, if you've never seen these OVAs, check out this series right here. It's a great addition to the Universal Century timeline. In this week's episode, we are formally introduced to the mysterious girl known as Audrey Byrne. What I mean by that is that's not her real name. Fans of old-school Universal Century Gundam anime series should be able to tell who this character is, and Audrey is on a secret mission to go to the leader of the Cardius Vis Foundation to try and beg him to not give Laplace's box to Neo Zeon. What exactly is Laplace's box? It's the mysterious item which is going to cause a lot of conflict in this series. Laplace's box holds the secrets to the very origins of Universal Century, and might even have some things that would make the actual Federation not look like some very nice guys. But we're going to have to wait and see the contents of this. Most of this episode right here was basically a lot of political drama, and of course a wee bit of action. In particular, at the beginning of the episode, you had Banagher Lynx and Audrey Byrne trying to escape from Marita Cruz and her goons. And this scene, just like in the OVA, is incredibly well animated. It's beautiful, the choreography, the weight of the characters. The fact that Banagher Lynx can actually hold his own against Marita Cruz just a little bit is pretty freaking awesome when you think about it. I mean, his methods of fighting are a little clumsy. I mean, he dodges an attack, grabs her coat, and just tosses her over the edge, but she ends up dropping like a frickin' ninja. She's like a cat. She always lands on her feet. And then there's another really great scene where Neo Zeon has one of their soldiers hanging outside the Industrial 7 colony, and he's in this mobile suit which is known as the Gira Zulu, which is basically like this version series of the Zaku. It's not the exact same mobile suit, but it's definitely very reminiscent of it, and he suddenly gets surrounded by all of these mobile suits from Londo Bell, which are just getting ready to destroy him and anyone who's getting ready to sneak into the colony. Of course, the higher-ups in Neo Zeon think of this as like some sort of trap, like they've been lured here so that they could be captured. So this guy just goes completely insane and starts to fight against these mobile suits, which are known as Razels, which basically look like these really slick turquoise blues GMs with some really slick transforming abilities and some really cool weapons. And this guy, as berserker and awesome as he is, just ends up getting destroyed, but he manages to take out a couple of these mobile suits. I love when he's going all crazy and grabs one of them, holding them down, putting the gun right into the cockpit and blowing them away, and even after having his mobile suit's head like completely decapitated, he still manages to fight back, but he does end up going out in the blaze of glory. So the good news is we at least got some really cool mobile suit action in this episode. It also looks like Marita Cruz is getting ready to go out, and it looks like all of these people who are studying at Anaheim are about to see what war is really all about. And most of the drama towards the end of this episode came when both Banagher Lynx and Audrey Byrne actually met Cardius Vis, the leader of this foundation, which is getting ready to give the key to Laplace box to the Neo Zeons. They actually don't have the box, so they claim, but they are going to give them to key. Sharp-eyed viewers will be able to tell what the key is. They've made it very obvious in the series. I could go ahead and tell you, I know all the secrets of Gundam Unicorn, but if you haven't seen the series, it's definitely worth seeing, because it's just going to get even crazier from here. Not to mention, this episode had some pretty big name drops. In particular, Full Frontal, who's going to be one of the big villains from this series, known as the Second Coming of Char. Why is he called that? Well, it'll be pretty obvious when you see him. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Gundam Unicorn? Great political drama, lots of great, amazing animation from the main characters, building on the relationship with Banagher Lynx and Audrey Byrne, with Banagher basically just being the white knight for Audrey Byrne. He's enamored with her, and he's tired of living in his own little world, and he's ready to go out and try things and try to make things better for the universe that he lives in. It's cheesy and ridiculous, and it's basically a glorified love story, but there's a lot more to Gundam Unicorn than what you see on the surface, and you're going to see that as the series actually evolves, not just with this Laplace box thing, but with a lot of other characters who are going to be introduced, and it's just got a great background behind it. You know, really, it is just more of this. But you know what? It's still really good. Like I said, if you haven't seen this, you have to check out this series. This is going to be a great way to see it. I can't wait to see some more new material. I imagine that's going to come probably a little bit later into the series, maybe even at the midpoint. I'm kind of hoping that they're going to go all out with this one and maybe give us some episodes which are like completely brand new material that we haven't seen, because as it stands, this episode is basically just sort of chopping the first episode of the OVA into 3 solid pieces, which it looks like we're going to get a lot of that in the next episode. They're probably going to have to add on just a little bit more to that episode, though, and that maybe will start to bleed into maybe episode 2. Otherwise, this is just a pretty decent retelling of an amazing OVA series, which you haven't seen. You got to check it out. I really can't stress that enough. So, a fantastic episode. You know, it doesn't really stand alone on its own. I think these are episodes that really do work as like this big like hour format. Like, these are basically almost movies in and of themselves, especially when you have all of this material together. So it's kind of hard to judge this series because of how similar yet different it is because of when you separate it into different pieces. That being said, this was an amazingly high quality episode. Like, if there was no OVA that ever existed of this was still a really high caliber episode of Gundam Unicorn. So I'm gonna give this one right here a 4 out of 5. It was really, really solid. Obviously the pacing is a little different when you chop up these episodes, but still, it's high quality stuff that you gotta see, especially if you're a mecha fan, especially if you're a Gundam fan. So 4 out of 5 for me. Check it out, Gundam fans. You might see something you like. But if any of you guys did watch this week's episode of Gundam Unicorn, why don't you tell me what you thought about it in the comment section below? Did you have a favorite scene from this week's episode? What do you think of the developing relationship between Banagher Lynx and Audrey Byrne? Do you think he's coming on just a little too strong? What did you think of the mobile suit battle in this week's episode? And what do you hope to see from the rest of the TV adaptation of Gundam Unicorn? Please tell me in the comment section below. You guys are awesome. Thank you for watching this review. I really appreciate it. Make sure to share this video with all your friends. Subscribe to the channel and follow us on social media. You can find all that stuff in the description box below. Thank you guys again for watching. And as always, stay dandy, baby.